kids on the spectrum, they hard to deal with. A lot of fathers run away. A lot of parents run away from the responsibility because it's not easy raising a kid on the spectrum and with autism. And so, I told the world, listen, guys, we're all normal. We all have situations in this world. We love our kids, and we're here to support them. And I just want to encourage any dads, any parents out there that having a tough time with their kids, man, to stick in there and just know that they're our biggest blessing.
Words of a doting dad. That is Grammy-nominated hip-hop legend Fat Joe opening up about autism, which he is all too familiar with, having raised his now 32-year-old son, Joey, who is living with the disorder. Welcome back. April is Autism Awareness Month, and we wanted to explore this issue as it relates to Black children. Autism is much more common among Black kids compared to white children. Black children also tend to be diagnosed 1.5 years later than white children, which delays appropriate treatment. The stakes are high, and new research shows Black children with intellectual disabilities often get misdiagnosed first, which further delays much-needed care. So is it a matter of race or class? That's what we're investigating tonight.
Put the red square on the word show. Put the red square on the word show. Good job.
For Black parents of autistic kids, the world can be a very scary place. Last month in New York City, there was a vicious attack on an autistic teen. Early this year, a 12-year-old boy with autism in Virginia was handcuffed and concussed during a tennis program run by police officers, his mother saying they misunderstood his actions as confrontational. Last year in Saratoga County, New York, a 14-year-old with autism was tackled by officers in Target while waiting for his siblings to purchase items in the checkout line. And in 2012, an autistic 15-year-old in Illinois was fatally shot by police after his parents called for help following an argument.
There's a certain feeling of aloneness that that you feel like you're isolated, when you get this diagnosis because there's nobody really talking about it.
Memphis rapper Nakia Kinfolk Shine is shining a light on the difficulties Black children with autism experience. He and his wife struggled to find resources when his son Jameson was diagnosed in 2012 at 2 years old.
It was very, very tough because this is not something there's a cure for. There's no cure for autism.
Nakia and his wife have 6 kids, but saw early on that Jameson wasn't making eye contact and reaching his speaking milestones on the typical timeline for infants and toddlers. It took 2 years for a doctor to finally diagnose Jameson, a common scenario for many Black parents.
When you have autism, there's nobody coming with pamphlets or someone saying, hey, this is what's going on with your child and it's going to be this and this and this. Because of the fact that it's the spectrum is so wide.
According to the CDC, for the first time, autism is being diagnosed more frequently in Black and Hispanic children than in white kids in the U.S. Now, about 3% of Black, Hispanic, and Asian or Pacific Islander children have been diagnosed with autism, compared with about 2% of white kids. Early diagnosis and intervention can greatly improve outcomes for children with autism, regardless of their race or ethnicity. To address these disparities, autism advocates like Camille Proctor, founder of The Color of Autism, say it is essential to improve access to health care and increase awareness of autism in Black communities.
So in the beginning, I wanted to make sure that Black families were gaining access to diagnostics and services. So we were real heavy on early intervention. If you think there's something wrong, do something about it. And we tell people not to wait. So the organization itself, we support parents by offering support services such as support groups. We have a really great support group for dads.
After Camille's son was diagnosed in 2008 at the age of 2, she found herself scrambling to find services, and the pickings were slim to none. Camille later started her organization and became a change agent dedicated to the autism cause, offering free resources to her community. However, there are several possible reasons for this disparity. One factor may be a lack of access to health care, including regular checkups and screenings, which can make it more difficult to detect early signs of autism.
I was still early on in my journey, and I was bumping my head a lot because it was like I was going through my own thing, but I was so passionate about people, Black people, understanding that this is something that exists in our community.
Another possible explanation is that there may be differences in how autism presents in Black children compared to white children. Some studies suggest that Black children with autism may exhibit different patterns of behavior or have different symptoms than their white peers, which could make it more difficult for clinicians to recognize the signs of autism.
One of the things I was concerned about is that at 1 year he wasn't walking. At 13 months he wasn't walking. At 14 months he wasn't walking. 15 months he said, okay, I'll go somewhere. I'll get up and walk. So that was a problem. And then when he did walk, he walked on his tiptoes. He walked on his tiptoes for a very long time. And he would also flap his hands, and he would line up everything, just line up his toys, spinning wheels, pushing a chair to a light switch so that he could turn it on and off and on and off. And so I knew that this behavior that I was seeing was not normal. I also recognized the fact that he had a speech delay where he decided, I don't want to say he decided, but he wasn't saying much of anything that was audible. And then I started to notice that he had sensitivity to sound, that he always had his hands over his ears, which gave me the assumption that he may have had an ear infection. So I was taking him to the ear doctor, and they're like, no, there's nothing here, there's nothing. And so those were the signs that I experienced.
All of this is why advocates like Nakia and Camille offer services that can include providing culturally responsive care, offering training and resources for healthcare providers, and increasing outreach and education efforts to raise awareness about autism and its symptoms.
We're spreading awareness and acceptance out here, and we're not afraid. We just, it's time for it. It's a season for it, for people to get out, for some people of color to get out here and be able to let people know what our experience is with this, so that when you see a child that's out at the grocery store and checking out, and you see a child that may be having a behavioral issue at the moment, it ain't cause that parent ain't taking care of their business or oh, look at this child, look at what this disrespect. No, the child can have autism. You know what I mean? And you gotta, just don't be so quick to judge and try to accept what's going on.